Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm sharing experiences, true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, which is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. Support is never expected, but always appreciated. And that, of course, can be done through Patreon and or the merchandise store and or the Amazon bookstore as well. So, um, but please also check out the links in every episode description for friends of the show. Jen, the Arcane Observer, the co-host of the show, usually on Saturdays. She has her own channel. And then also Michael Strange and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting, as well as the show, Trouble Minds Radio. And I want to thank Michael Strange, as always, for having me on the network with so many other amazing people. You can listen to that radio station online 24/7. So I think that takes care of everything. And thank you all for being here and listening in. And so I think with that, we can get going here on these true stories. So this first one says, I used to use flashlights and regular cameras for cryptid scouting hikes, but I switched to a compact thermal imager. With the thermal camera, I could see raccoons and deer easily. And in one case, an unidentified, fast-moving entity. During one night hike, I noticed a heat signature standing still in a dense forest area. I tried to combine those two words. That didn't go well. It was unnaturally tall, and it had limbs that didn't seem to bend normally. It didn't react to my presence. It just appeared to be staring into the distance. When I moved closer, the heat signature vanished without a trace. I have returned to the area many times, but I haven't seen anything similar since this encounter. The heat signature didn't match any known animal or person as far as I could tell. And that's where that ends. Now, if that heat signature literally did just vanish, that sort of, to me, rules out it being a person, a physical person. What it was, I don't know. But that's amazing that something was there giving off heat, giving off that kind of energy, but then was able to just completely vanish. Did it cloak itself, or did it completely teleport somewhere else? I don't know, but that really is amazing. And I wonder how often that has happened to people on investigations, because I've heard of that more in paranormal investigations of places said to be haunted, where things will appear and then vanish on the thermal. But of course, with that, sometimes you have to worry about reflections, or there's things you have to worry about in a location, from what I've heard and read, that could cause images, even on the thermal camera, to appear and vanish, reflections and things like that, I'm guessing. But for it to happen like that out in the woods, that's pretty amazing. So it doesn't sound like a regular human shape. It sounds like it's taller. But so I don't know what they saw, but that's an amazing find, an experience to have. So I'm always amazed at people that go out into nature and do those kinds of investigations, because I'm fine with checking out a building that is said to have a lot of paranormal activity, as long as it's not negative. but I don't really. Nature is forests and things like that, places out in the middle of nowhere. No, thank you. Not my thing. When I was a kid, I liked camping, but as I got older, I just got to like it less and less. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be doing that. But that's great that people are doing that, and that's how you get accounts like the one I just read. So, not to mention so many other shows on these topics as well. So let's get to the next one here. This one says, I live in an apartment complex for disabled and elderly people. The apartment complex, has thick floors, making it difficult to hear sounds from neighboring apartments. I don't know if they mean walls, I'm not sure. A common sound heard by many residents, including myself, is a clear sound similar to marbles bouncing. I'm not sure what the source of the sound could be. I don't have any marbles. This sound is very clear, as if it's coming from a few feet away. TV sounds from neighboring apartments are usually very faint. A few nights ago, I heard a distinct sound. It sounded like someone crawling or dragging something on the floor. The sound was similar to dragging a heavy duffel bag across the floor, pausing every few seconds and then continuing. I was alone in my apartment. I don't have a duffel bag or any similar object. I didn't move anything while I was hearing the sounds. Excuse me. Has anyone had similar experiences? What could all of this be? That's where that one ends. The apartment situation, I know what that's like. I live in an apartment complex, and I do hear sounds here and there from neighbors, but it really isn't that many. At least not from inside. Sometimes I'll hear them from outside. It's I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I can hear sounds from the unit 1 or 2 units down, and they're coming from inside the apartment, but then they're going out of the building, and I can hear them as they like leave the building, if that makes sense. Almost like a wraparound kind of. I don't know how that works, but I've had that before. I've also had. This was when I first moved here, and I still don't know what it was, or doesn't happen much anymore. But every once in a while, I would hear the sound of a ball rolling on a hard surface, similar to the marble sound, but this was just one object. I would hear the sound of a ball rolling off of a hard surface and then hitting the floor and bouncing a little bit and then rolling a little bit again. And I don't know where that's coming from because I have my living room is carpeted. Granted, it's a thin carpet. But that's the only place where I have tables. And I don't have any kind of hard, solid, any kind of ball for a toy or for anything like that. And I don't have anything like that I could roll that would make that sound. And again, it wouldn't make that sound on this floor because it has carpet on it. I've even had times where I heard it near me, and I could have swore I felt the vibrations of the floor. So I don't know what that is, if it's residual somehow. But I've had similar experiences. I also have, oh gosh, I don't remember now when this happened. This was many, many years ago. My this is one of those story fragments that I have from my family, from my grandma. She told me about before she passed away. It was when I was starting to get interested in these topics, but I wasn't really doing a show yet at all. I wasn't thinking of writing about them so much, but I had experiences and I told her about them. And she told me about her sister's house. I think it was in another major city in Michigan on the western side of the state, I believe, and maybe even northwestern. And there was a lot of activity in and around this house, but there were times where the family would hear the sound of a bag or a container of marbles hitting the floor, and then the sound of marbles rolling all over the floor. And they'd be downstairs and they'd hear it on one of the upstairs rooms, and they'd go and look for it, and there'd be nothing there. So it reminds me of that as well. So I wonder how common that is in places where marbles maybe were a more common toy or pastime than they are now. I don't know. I wonder if that's a common thing, residual for a lot of places from further back in time. Just kids playing with marbles in their rooms or whatever. I don't know. Just putting out questions and possible ideas there. Moving on to the next one here. Let's see. This one says, so let me just scroll down a little bit. This one says, my mom shared a paranormal experience that happened many years ago, which she had never shared before. It was on the night of my grandma's funeral. My mom and I stayed overnight at my grandma's home to avoid a long drive home in the night. We slept in the bedroom across from where my grandma used to sleep. Around 11 p.m. or midnight, my mom heard a loud banging on the bedroom door. I was fast asleep and never heard anything. My mom, she was frightened because we were alone in the house with no pets. The door was locked, and my mom hid under the blankets. The banging did not happen again, and my mom has never been able to explain the incident. And that's where that one stops or ends. I don't know if maybe that was the grandma. It's kind of hard to, I don't know, unless she just didn't realize she had passed on or something and wanted to get in the room to say hi but couldn't because the door was locked. Maybe it was just literally to try to get attention to say I'm here, but the knocks came across as being louder and maybe more frightening than they were meant to be. I do think that can happen sometimes with experiences. I'm wondering if the mom fell asleep while the knocks are still going on, because you hear about that in so many encounters, and I've had that happen myself, where something is happening, and you can't figure out what it is, and there's nowhere to go, and you just fall asleep somehow. But yeah, I don't know with that one. If it wasn't the grandma, then I wonder who it was or what it was. As I hit the table with my hand as I'm trying to get back closer to the screen here. But anyway, that was not a paranormal thing. That was just me. Funny thing about that, though, I have had times where a couple of times where I was doing shows and I heard either quiet or even a couple of times louder bumps from my apartment. One time I was even doing a show. I was a guest on a show, and there was a sound that came from the kitchen, right in front of me, basically on the other side of the wall where the computer is at here. And the host of the show heard the sound too. So it was that loud where it came through on the microphone, which is pretty amazing. I don't know. I don't think it really came through on the recording, but yeah. So Well, things do happen here and there. I did a show recently, and I'll release it probably this week here, coming up, where I talked about my most recent experiences. So that'll have some more of that kind of stuff in there. Let me see here. Let's get on to the next true story here. This one says, I was finishing my shift at a bar on a Saturday at around 4 a.m. As I was coming down the stairs from the staff room, I glanced back and saw someone behind me wearing black trousers and lace-up shoes, or maybe boots. When I look back, it said a brand name, but I don't know what the brand is. When I look back again at the bottom of the stairs, there was no one there. I thought I was just seeing things because of being overtired. Later that day, a colleague mentioned that the building is said to be haunted. The colleague shared a story about two managers who, at around 5 a.m., heard 5 loud bangs on the ceiling when they were alone in the building. After a brief pause, there were 5 more bangs, which caused the managers to run out of the building and lock it up behind them. Hearing this story made me reconsider my own experience and feel genuinely pretty freaked out. And that's where that one ends. There's so many accounts of haunted bars and restaurants, especially the ones that are, the older you get with a place, the more chance it seems like there is. In general, there's always exceptions of there being activity, because again, restaurants and bars, it's a constant flow of people coming and going. And I mean constant as far as just long term. Same with any kind of hospitals or hotels or apartment buildings, schools, all these places. I've heard so many accounts of experiences in all these types of places over the years. They happen, and it's not in every single building, I don't think, but several of them, it seems, do end up having these stories of experiences attached to them. So the again, we have the knocking or the banging sounds as well. I had that on the underside of my living room floor several years ago, and I had a friend here that actually heard it at the same time, and we even felt the vibrations. The problem is there is no basement that we are aware of. There's no door to get to one, to a basement under this building. There's a cement slab underneath the carpet. So I don't know what was causing that, but it was loud, and went on for a few minutes, and then it just stopped. And we could actually feel the floor vibrating beneath our feet and our hands. When I put my hands on the floor, I could feel it. So it is amazing how beings of consciousness and energy that are mostly not physical can have physical effects, even if it's limited, on solid objects when they want to or need to. I'm not sure, but it does happen in so many accounts. Knocking or loud bumps or bangs are really common. So let's see here. We have time for at least one more story here, so we'll go to one more. Let's see here. This one says, I was driving home late at night and saw a man sitting in a small plastic chair on my front porch, around 35 yards away. The man appeared to be thin, with pale hair, facing the road. At first, I thought it might be my dad, who has dementia. But as I got closer, the man looked younger with darker hair. When my car lights illuminated the porch, the chair was empty. I was shaken and ran inside, stubbing my toe badly along the way. That's never fun. The next day, I told my mother about the incident. I live on my parents' property. My mother said that she had seen shadowy figures on the porch. She thought she saw a man sitting on the porch a few weeks before this. She also heard a man's voice at my door one evening when I was away, but she didn't find anyone there. I saw the man again the following night. I had moved the chair, but the man was sitting there again. I turned off my car lights before pulling into the driveway to confirm what I saw. The man was thin, had grayish-brown hair, and was wearing a burgundy shirt, staring at the road. I watched him for almost a minute before turning on my car lights, and the man disappeared. I knew my house was haunted, but this male presence is new, and it makes me a little uneasy. And that's where that one ends. There's a lot of activity, sounds like, on that property. Hopefully that the appearances of this figure is all that ends up really happening with him. It doesn't sound like he's really, at least in the writer's direct experiences, he doesn't move. Doesn't seem to register that the person is there, except, and now I wonder about this, when the writer turned on their car lights, did he vanish because the car lights somehow just, I don't know, dispersed the energy, or just absorbed the light, or just completely hid him from sight? Or did he actually fade away with intention? And even, I guess, if the lights did sort of, the car lights did make him appear to fade away, even when, I'm guessing, the car lights would have to be turned off at some point. So it seems like he would fade away at some point, no matter what. And the question to me is that a residual apparition? But it doesn't seem like it if he's appearing in different points on the porch, sitting in the same chair. That seems like maybe more intelligent. Plus, you combine that with the mother's reports of hearing a voice and then seeing figures. I wonder what the history of that property is. If there's some kind of weird time anomaly overlap there, and that's why he's being seen and heard. If he had some connection to the property, or if it is a spirit that also had some connection to the property. It's always hard to know with these cases where there's so many things happening. But yeah, that's an amazing account there of a few experiences. So, but that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.